here is what I think is the proper paradigm shift for this moment. User behaviors are changing. People are still searching a lot, apparently. Google use hasn't declined whatsoever. The growth of use of chatbots is crazy and accelerating. So to understand the difference in what's happening in these two use cases or tools, people use traditional search to find options, but people use AI to get recommendations.
Welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. I'm your host, Krista Waddell, here to bridge the gap between SEO strategy and real-world business success. Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketer, or SEO enthusiast, this is your place to learn, share, and build a brand that stands out. So grab a coffee or your favorite tea, and let's dive into smarter SEO for your business. Welcome back to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. I am here with a really amazing marketing mind, and his name is Andy Crestodina, the founder of Orbit Media. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This was started many years ago. It was me and my buddy Barrett, who is still here.
Yay!
Yep.
Well, I found you years ago, and you guys, Andy is one of the most down-to-earth teachers of marketing that I've come across in, like my 7-year SEO and marketing journey. So I've been wanting to talk to you for years. So Andy, thank you so much for coming on the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Well, now I'm excited. That sounds great. I think this will be super fun. So thanks for the invite, and I'm glad to be here.
So we met at Brighton SEO last year in San Diego, but I had seen your webinars for a few years. So I knew who you were. I can't remember, who you had partnered with the first time I saw one of your webinars. But I thought to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a guy that talks marketing like a normal person, not just like in KPIs and all of this, acronym coded language. And so I really appreciated that about you. And then I heard you say that you actually went to school initially to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's awesome, because one thing I didn't tell you is I used to be a teacher.
Really? What subject?
I taught special needs physical education.
Wow, that is so cool. Good for you. It's rewarding, right? So rewarding. Teaching is the best.
Yeah, exactly. I love kids and I love people and I love teaching. I think that's why the podcast is such a great fit. But you were going to be a teacher and then you ended up in marketing. So maybe you could kind of tell us how that went.
Yeah. And then ironically, marketing turned into teaching.
Yeah.
So it's like a full circle story. I got a foreign language degree, didn't know what I was going to do with it. So also got a teaching certificate. And there were only 2 schools in that state that taught that language. It was Mandarin. And then decided not to do that. Went and lived in China, came back. It was like the mid to late 90s. And the interesting things are happening. I don't think I'm going to be in the classroom. I think it's more, I'll try something else. And so I started working on personal projects at night, interactive stuff, Macromedia Flash. This is like ancient history. And then joined Barrett, who was already building websites. So January of 2000, gave up the day job and started building websites with Barrett. And by April of 2001, we'd formed Orbit Media. And then I'm kind of the guy who never pivoted. We were still building and optimizing websites, mostly B2B lead gen websites. And 2007, started writing and teaching and speaking, making videos and giving presentations. So no, I've just been doing this a long time. So Crystal, this will be a good conversation because I love teaching and I love search, and I probably will have a few good things to share.
I think the industry is great for those who love education, whether it's, educating other people or just learning new things, because things are changing so much. I feel like it's the perfect time for the people who are lifelong learners to be in this industry because there's just so much to learn all the time, every day.
Every day is a school day for me, for all of us.
Okay. So this is going to take you way back. All right, to your very first beginning days. But as I made the transition from teacher to entrepreneur and trying to help people with their Shopify websites, how did you figure out the pricing side of it? How did you get to a point where you're like, oh yeah, I can do this and replace my other day job so many moons ago?
Oh, well, there's a golden opportunity when you're scrappy and small, because I didn't really have a lot of expenses. I had just rent and no kids or anything. This is many years ago. I sort of went broke, but didn't care because I was just so motivated to make stuff and be a creator and do design work. Even though my income was terrible for at least those first 2 years, it didn't really matter. We were just trying to get experience, kind of decode marketing and figure out how to generate our own leads. I was just starting to understand search and just then starting to understand analytics. This is like 2000 to 2005. This is pre so many things, pre-social and mobile and all those things. So it wasn't until I had, our services and my expectations and, financial things all kind of changed. But we used to do websites for like $800. We once traded a website for a coffee table with this custom furniture maker. So really I think it's a natural progression. And in the beginning, if you're really hungry and you're just believe in the category and believe in yourself, the initial goals maybe aren't that financial. Maybe it's just about learning and networking and growth, other types of personal growth. And so it was very slow and nobody would have invested in us. And we were not, I don't recommend necessarily the way that we did it. I could have learned many things much faster, but in the end, no, it was just, we didn't really figure out good pricing and packages and how to, accurately scope things until later. So there wasn't really any rigor here until later when we gradually grew up, but no regrets.
I always love to hear how people, started and then kind of transformed. I'm always learning things to apply to my business, and I love getting insight from people who've been there. So thank you for that. Okay, from me listening to you in another podcast, you mentioned 8 words to help you show up better in LLMs and AI search. Do you remember that piece of the conversation?
The specific 8 words, maybe not, but I could share with you my latest thinking on how to train the AI to recommend your brand.
Yeah, exactly.
So here is what I think is the proper paradigm shift for this moment. User behaviors are changing. People are still searching a lot, apparently. Google use hasn't declined whatsoever. But the growth of use of chatbots is crazy and accelerating. So to understand the difference in what's happening in these 2 use cases or tools, people use traditional search to find options, but people use AI to get recommendations. So AI is really more about both awareness and consideration, the top and the middle of the funnel. People are talking a lot about AI visibility. I think that's short-sighted. I think the way that people prompt is to ask for recommendations, options. Who are the best for this? How, help me find a good provider, right? It's actually going deeper. So if the typical prompt has things like the role and the task and the context and the output, that's prompt engineering, right? It should have those things. If that's true, then teaching AI to recommend your brand is partly maybe about prompt reverse engineering and making sure that our content and our key pages have those elements, which is partly SEO, but a bit beyond traditional SEO. SEOs probably aren't putting the job titles of their buyers on their key pages. I certainly never did. SEOs aren't necessarily adding all the proof points and evidence and credentials on their pages as text. My site just has logos of awards we've won. I didn't spell them out as text. The very specific outcomes of the work you do, because that's how people are prompting, right? Like, I've got a Shopify site. It's not visible. I'm looking for a company that will help my category pages rank higher for commercial intent phrases. If you pretend to be your audience for a minute and use AI to get a recommendation, you'll quickly realize the gaps between traditional SEO and AI training type content. And that's likely the little adaptation. And it's all based on this understanding that search is just visibility. AI is visibility plus consideration. That visitor's going deeper into the funnel. AI is giving them options that are a good fit. And that's probably why conversion rates from visitor into lead, or in e-commerce, visitor into customer, are higher from ChatGPT than from Google. Yeah. 2x on my site. It's just dramatic. Like, people who come from AI are much more ready to buy because AI was helping them make a decision.
Yeah, and that's true. I'm sure most business owners have done something like this, but I like to build my SEO strategy around synonyms, that I want to be known for. And so, my number one synonym is senior night and senior night gifts, right? So I put that in there. Hey, where's the best place to get senior night gifts? And of course, Etsy showed up, Amazon showed up, Zazzle, different, big name personalization type websites. And I was like, hey, what about collageofwood.com? Like, where are they at in the mix? And so chat was explaining to me like, oh, I didn't realize you wanted a small boutique handmade experience. That was so interesting. It's really like trying to figure out how you can position yourself for what you want to be found for. And so that's kind of like the quest that I'm on to try to figure that out for my own business.
Yeah. So it gave you some clues right there. Handmade. That's a differentiator, and that's a type of thing that would help the right buyer find you, actually in search or in traditional search or in a chatbot. But that you can actually just say, who are the best providers for this? It'll give you a list. If you're not in there, you can say, add me to the mix. Now there's a list plus you. Then you could say, where are these brands strong or weak? What are the pros and cons of each of these options? And it will make for you a buyer guide or a table, a comparison table. And then you'll be looking right in front of you. This is where AI thinks that I'm weak. And this is where AI thinks that they're strong. And wherever relevant and appropriate, you can then just go address that, attack that, hit that hard with the language that trains the AI to believe that you're a good option for that. Because frequently it's just sort of, these pages just aren't detailed enough, and e-commerce website owners just make what they think the page should have without ever taking that tiny step to do that little audit to identify the gaps, which are good for search, good for AI, good for visitors finding the right page for them. These tools are segmentation engines from our point of view. It's a search or discovery engine from their point of view, but for us, it's about the world filtering itself into people who really might love exactly what we do. So in that case, yeah, handmade, you put that in there, put the outcomes. This is the surprise. These are the testimonials. This is who we're good for. This is who appreciates us. This is all this synonyms, semantically related phrases, anything that AI spots as a gap. That's the copywriting tweaks that we'll be making as these channels evolve.
Wow. Okay. So I'm smiling over here because I told you I have a group. It's called the SEO Squad, where I help other Shopify store owners optimize their websites. And I love to make them custom GPTs to apply like what we learn or what we talk about on the podcast. And so I'm going to make that very GPT.
Do it.
So that we can work through it together. Because one thing I've found is a lot of times the analysis and just the openness to the analysis, I don't think a lot of people think like that. I think maybe that's kind of like that teacher mind, like, here, let's lead you to how you can look at this differently or see some hidden opportunities that you didn't see before. But that's one of the use cases I love, from ChatGPT, is just being able to create structures for thought and reflection, and then find those very things that you just laid out. Like, that was so perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can ask it. It's there. It's unlike Google. You can really prompt AI to discover what is in its training data, how it perceives your brand compared to other brands, why it's less likely to recommend you for certain people. And it will just tell you. It's like there is no way to just say, hey, Google, what do you think of these pages? What are the gaps in these pages? What are missed keyword opportunities? How could I get this page to rank higher? Google doesn't really do that. I guess maybe Gemini is now, but we're used to black boxes in algorithm marketing. But AI is actually quite transparent. You could just say, what do you know about my brand? Where did you learn that about my brand? What do you think of me compared to these others? Everyone should make a comparison table that compares them to their competitors. And if there's any gaps on that, then go right into those topics.
Oh, that is awesome. I'm so excited to do that. Probably will do that right after we jump off of here. But another thing you said, you had mentioned that maybe it's not the best practice anymore to embed a video on our website from YouTube rather than using some sort of native video player on our website. So I was wondering, when it comes to like product pages and collection pages, that type of commerce page, what are your thoughts on video?
I use YouTube for content marketing. If I made an article, I think it's helpful, I'll make a video version of it. I'll post it on YouTube. I'll embed it in the article because I want to pump up the views on YouTube. I want that algorithm to like me. I want it to suggest to other people. If the person clicks from the article to go to YouTube, because you can't remove those UX elements on the player, they're landing in a channel that's active, where there's engagement, they might subscribe. So that's content marketing. That's higher in the funnel. The question's always just, what's the true story in the life of this visitor? If the visitor has information intent, sure, give them YouTube, embed YouTube, be a YouTuber. If the true story in life of their visitor is that they have commercial intent, like they're on a money page or a product page or a service page, I would never use YouTube. I just wouldn't do that because there's too many ways for them to sneak away. Or they could click to watch the video on YouTube and the views are low, and that's like negative social proof. Or the player can't really be customized. You can no longer remove the suggested videos. Remember, you could remove them before, now you can't. So I've been on websites of, $500 million companies literally watching a cat video on their website. Why would you do that? You're trying to save $50. Not even. I think it's like $25 a month for some of these players. So yeah, conversion-focused videos, you need a pro player. You can customize the player. You can make the colors look bright. You can choose the thumbnail. And it should look polished. I mean, YouTube, you can choose thumbnails, but conversion-focused videos, the about page video, the home page video, the sales page video, the product video, YouTube is totally inappropriate. YouTube is a content platform. Those pages are conversion-focused pages. So I think that's super weird that people still do that. Help me spread the word if you can. YouTube is not right for money pages.
Well, and I'm so guilty of it. Like, say on a product page, the reasoning behind it was that it loads faster. So I thought from like a user experience, it's like, okay, it's not bogging down my site. Like these YouTube videos load faster and that type of thing. So, I'm just
I never
curious.
thought of that.
I was wondering
I mean, Vimeo should be fast. I
Hmm.
I never heard that it's slower. The technology that they all use is the same, and it's brilliant. Based on the bandwidth, the player switches to higher or low quality versions of that file. It like throttles the quality somehow based on speed. All the players should do that, I would hope. It's, I don't know, depending on the product, and maybe if your channel's so active that if they do click to go over there, they're going to find other things that will trigger them to buy. But really, part of conversion is about removing distraction. And the YouTube player has a button that goes to a platform that spends $100 million a year to keep their visitors on their site. So I would almost never, under any circumstances, link from a money page, like a service page. I don't even link to my own blog posts on my service pages because that person's going backwards, upwards through the funnel. So these pages have one goal. Ask yourself, what is the desired action on this URL? And then do everything you can to focus that visitor just on that action. And part of that's removing distractions. And one of the distractions is the YouTube player.
Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to say that. I'm a little like, oh goodness, what am I going to do? But the other great thing about Shopify is they have tons of apps. They have their own app store. So I'm
Mhm.
sure someone has created a solution for this. So if it's not Vimeo itself,
With those.
surely,
Or
yeah.
maybe it's native. Like, I mean, 2025, they've got tons of stuff in there. Like maybe you could just upload the video directly to Shopify and Shopify has a player and it's quick and nice on mobile. Really, the player is one of the success factors of videos and their ability to maximize conversion rates. Another is simply the thumbnail. If you know from analytics that people who watch that video are more likely to buy, and analytics will tell you this, there's an event report, just check the correlation between people who do and don't trigger that event or on that URL. You'll see it. It's there. It's on the right. Then if that's true, then your next job is to maximize the percentage of people who watch the video. And to do that, you make the video more prominent, or you change the thumbnail of the video, or you get really specific about what's in the video so there's so many hundreds of little factors, but anything that you see from your data that correlates with revenue, make that work even harder.
So there was something that I noticed the other day. It was like probably within the last year. And it was the fact that I feel like big companies are missing out on video opportunities, like say from TikTok users who are promoting their products for no reason except for the fact
Mhm.
that they enjoy their products, right? This particular situation was makeup. And like when you are someone who likes to wear makeup, you like to find people who have your skin tone and say, what color or what's your recommendation? There's videos that have millions and millions of views. And then I go to that retailer's website and there's no videos. And I'm just like, why? I feel
Wow.
like these are little tiny influencers or not even influencers at all. They just happen to create really great content that shows people what they want to know. And I feel like the conversion could be so much greater if they would say, oh, here's some of these TikTok videos that might have brought you here because you searched for our brand on TikTok. And I think some of these brands aren't even aware that that's happening.
Probably the reason is big companies have separate teams and those teams are siloed. So the user-generated content team who's talking to influencers and they may not have any influence. They may get pushed back. They may have to talk to IT. There's a marketing leader who's disinterested and is trying to protect the preciousness of the brand. It doesn't want another, I don't know. But there's small companies in this case, and people like me and you, Crystal, have a bit of an advantage because we can move faster. You can capture those opportunities. There aren't really lots of silos. So what do? It's like build a relationship, enlist a brand ambassador, repurpose that content, amplify that content, incentivize them to create more of those. Magic is happening. You're just not getting the full value of it because you didn't know or didn't connect the dots. But yeah, that person, I don't know if I'd love to put a TikTok video directly onto a product page, but if you could form a tiny partnership and they allow you and you can, send them your makeup or anything, I don't know, whatever the path toward friendship looks like, which I think is the highest level of influence marketing, is just being buddies with people. Put that endorsement, right? That's an influencer endorsement. That's social proof. That's credibility. It's the most powerful thing you can possibly do for two reasons. It upgrades the messenger from the brand to a influencer, and it upgrades the format from text to video. So video testimonials and video product reviews are the atomic bomb of marketing. You can never have enough. They're the best thing you'll ever find. So yeah, if they're just being created randomly over there and you're not even watching, great point. Huge missed opportunity.
And since you talk about reverse engineering, the other thing I thought next was, okay, how could I capture that for myself or help other Shopify store owners capture that? Because like getting mentioned online is so important
Mhm.
now. It's like, okay, how would you do that? How would you find the people that could be genuine mouthpieces for your brand?
Yeah. One way that I look at content marketing is a networking opportunity. And as a general rule, I never publish anything without adding a contributor quote to it. And if I appear in something somewhere else and that starts a conversation, I'm going to extend that conversation and try to keep in touch and grow a relationship. It's simply networking. That's the big unlock. So if you're making anything, right, a report, a guide, you mentioned a piece of content a minute ago, whatever it happens to be, and you use that as a pretext to connect with people who are creating content or advocating for brands somewhere else. Hey, I know you got a point of view here. I'm doing a guide about that skin tone. I'm just going to stick with makeup.
Okay.
Would you be open to? I love your content. Your point of view is fantastic. It would take you just minutes, hopefully. Could you just send me a quick quote, an influencer quote, or your point of view, your best idea for this or perspective? And really, that's like a press hit for them because we're all publishers now. It's like a press hit. So very rare for anyone, unless they're a megastar, to decline to provide their point of view. That makes that content instantly in whatever format it's in, right? YouTubers all figured this out a long time ago. They cameo in each other's videos, but use every content creation opportunity as an opportunity to enlist an ally. An ally in content creation is an ally in content promotion. It's going to grow your network. So right before we jumped down, you saw I was wearing a sweatshirt from a brand.
Uh-huh.
Why? Where do you think I got that? Right? It's from collaborating with them. I love that sweatshirt, but and now that those people are my friends, I'd help them however I can.
Yeah, I think I may have heard you say something like this before because it's sounding familiar. And I guess the next step then too would be that people who are mentioned like to share that they're mentioned. So
For sure.
therefore, now you're getting in front of their audience when they say, I was featured in da da da, or you could
Mhm.
create a little, graphic form.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
you just try.
So
I mean,
yeah.
it's you just spotlighted somebody in content. So most people will take a minute to help amplify that because it's credibility for them. I mean, it sounds a bit mercenary, but most influencer marketing is sort of transactional. It's an exchange of expertise and reach, put simply. Both parties benefit from that, and people really enjoy connecting with people. It's also future-proof. This isn't a format that AI can really do. And it's so many of us are predicting that the power of influencers will grow over time. So that's just one of the many things that we should focus on. I think it has a very powerful long-term benefit. If you're an SEO, it can grow links. If those collaborators are editors or bloggers, if you're a consumer brand, it can grow your visibility, your reach. If those collaborators are active on those social platforms. So I don't know. The cost is zero. Why wouldn't we all do this?